Hey, I would like to welcome you all back to my channel. Today I'm going to be diving into a topic that's been heavy in the news lately, which was the plane crash in India. Reports say that Air India flight carrying 242 people crashed shortly after takeoff. This particular plane flight only had one survivor, which was a man named Vishwash, who miraculously escaped from seat number 11A. The loss of so many lives is absolutely heartbreaking. Watch the following video and I'll be right back.
Seconds after takeoff on its way to London Gatwick, this Air India flight crashes into a residential district. At least 290 are dead, and somehow the passenger in seat 11A walks away.
The Air India flight was bound for London. It takes off from Ahmedabad's international airport in the state of Gujarat. Seconds later, it loses height and then crashes just outside the airport's perimeter. A huge plume of black smoke fills the air. People from across this city of 5 million get out their phones and film the aftermath of a tragedy that has shocked India.
I was sat at home. It suddenly sounded like a storm, and when I came out, there was smoke everywhere. We weren't aware that there had been a plane crash. We didn't know anything. When we came out here, we realized what had happened.
Part of the plane lodged into a building. The tail fin with the Air India emblem ripped off and discarded. Beneath blackened trees, charred debris litters the streets. Personal belongings somehow still intact. 242 people were on board, among them 11 children. 169 were Indian nationals and at least 53 were from Britain. Rescuers and residents joined hands to clear the rubble and search for survivors. And astonishingly, amidst all this devastation, there is one. Indian TV shows this man in the white shirt walking away from the crash. They say he's British passenger Vishwash Kumar Ramesh. He was sat at seat 11A in the exit row. Now he lies in hospital, greeted by India's Interior Minister, having spoken to his family back in the UK.
After watching this video, it got me thinking, why did this one person survive? Could it be that God has a greater purpose for him? And if that's true, does it make you wonder that God may have a greater purpose for each of us also? And if so, do we feel like sometimes we ignore it? Well, I want to dive into this idea that God does have a greater purpose for us. I believe that we're all here for a reason, even when it feels like our purpose is random or even tragic. The Hebrew scriptures, for which I often turn for guidance, gives us a powerful insight into finding our purpose in life. I think a lot of us go through life wondering, why am I here, or what's the point? Especially when we see tragedies like this. You know, it kind of shakes us up. But I believe that God has a plan for each of us. It's a purpose that goes beyond just surviving day to day. I believe that part of our purpose is to make an impact, reflecting on his will and sometimes just being a light to others when they're in darkness. This survivor, Vishwash, he walked away from this disaster that claimed so many lives. And his story could be a reminder that even in the worst of moments, there's a reason to keep going, that we have a purpose that's just waiting to be fulfilled. Now, I'm not saying that I know what God's specific plan is for each one of us every day, but I do think that the Torah shows us that God is always at work, guiding us towards something bigger. So let me share a couple of verses from the Hebrew scriptures that really hit home for me on this topic. Jeremiah 29:11. For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans for welfare and not for evil, to give you a future and a hope. This verse reminds me that even when life feels chaotic, like a plane crash or personal struggles, God's got a plan. It's not just random. He's looking out for us, pushing us towards a future with hope. Psalm 57:2. I cry out to God the Most High, to God who fulfills his purpose for me. This one is huge. It tells me that God isn't just watching from afar, he's actively working to fulfill a purpose in my life. When I feel lost, I can cry out to him, the only true God, trusting that he's got something in store. These verses aren't just words to me, they're my lifeline. They say that no matter how messy or how tragic life gets, God's purpose prevails. I mean, think of Vishwash for a second. He jumped from that plane. Okay? He actually jumped from the plane near the emergency exit and he survived against all odds. Maybe he doesn't even know yet, but I believe that God spared him for